Hey all, so it is the May 2-4 weekend here in Canada. It's actually the Victoria Day holiday, but we like to refer to it as the 2-4, despite it rarely actually occurring on May 24th. And the reason for that is it invokes the idea of what you do on the 2-4, which is drink beer. Here in Canada, we refer to a case of beer as a 2-4. Well, that's sort of fallen by the wayside with the sudden craze for craft beer and the like. People aren't really buying cases of beer anymore, but instead picking and choosing their Weiss beers, their Belgian doubles, their lagers, their IPAs, their sessionables, sours and ciders, the rest of it.
I'll have a Harry Potter in a goblet of fire.
But the tradition still carries on. And as you get older, it's less about the beer drinking and going to the cottage and a little bit more about gardening. The 2-4 is traditionally when my wife and I plant our vegetable garden. We're falling a little bit behind this year and we're just sticking with pulling of the weeds. But you are here on BookTube, so what am I rambling on about as far as the long weekend goes? Well, I've been in a bit of a reading slump, although I wouldn't really call it a slump. I've been distracted, haven't been doing a lot of reading lately, so I thought I would just do sort of a Rambly, what's going on with my life sort of video. And the TLDR version of it is my daughter and I are going to South Korea in just under 2 weeks, which is super, super exciting. And there's a lot of planning that's going on. I'm setting out itineraries and seeing what there is to do. Strangely enough, I've been to Korea several times, but I've never really spent time in Seoul, and I don't think I've ever gone as a tourist. I've gone with my family, but that was really to visit aunts and uncles and cousins and sort of traipse around the country and visit different family members. And the other time I spent almost a year in a monastery, so I was in the rural countryside, the Buddhist version of Amish County. So it'll be exciting. We've booked our plane tickets, we've got a hotel, and we are just going to stay in Seoul for the entire week. Now it is just going to be my daughter and I, and we have to back up for the whole story. My daughter, as you know, was accepted and was off at the University of Ottawa. And she was having a great time there, taking on a science degree. And we'd talk with her via FaceTime about once a week. And then as the semester was nearing the end, we noticed that she'd cut her own hair. Now, I cut my own hair, and really it's because I fulfilled my biological imperative, and I am no longer really needing to worry about going to a hairdresser. I'll just get a set of clippers, cut my own damn hair, and wait for my ear hair to grow and start wearing socks with my sandals. But apparently, when your 18-year-old daughter cuts her hair, that is a bat signal for trouble. And so when she came home for the holidays, we offered her up the option of staying home for the next semester instead of going back to school. And we were a little surprised that she took us up on that offer. But such as it is, we're happy to have her home. And she's just been straight hustling since she's gotten back. She's working as an EA in my office for about 5 hours a day, 5 days of the week. And she's working as a waitress at the restaurant that she's worked since it opened, originally as a garde-manger. So she's making some good coin. She bought herself a car. And part of this is like there's no pressure for her to go back to school this September. But you know, come winter, we're going to be pushing really hard for a return to school eventually. But in the meantime, this is just a gap year. And part of that, I think, should include travel. She originally was planning on going to Texel, which is where her great-grandparents are from. It's just outside of Amsterdam, and the extended family, our aunts and uncles in Ottawa, as well as their kids, were all going to head down with a bunch of other people across the country. And they were all going to descend on Amsterdam and spend some time in Texel. Our daughter was planning on going as well. She had a travel companion. They'd had a big itinerary set up. Instead of Texel, they'd spend a day there, come back to Amsterdam, and maybe make a jaunt over to Paris. And we're really excited for her to have this journey. She's never even been across the ocean before. And I do think travel is super important, especially if you're going to take this gap year. And she's only 18. So I do feel a little nervous about sending her out there on her own as a girl traveling the world. Maybe that's overprotective or helicoptery. I mean, I did much the same at 18 and 19, but I don't know. But in the meantime, what had happened is her travel companion had bailed, and the travel just sort of fell by the wayside, and she was thinking of not even bothering to go and was a little despondent about the whole thing. And so I thought maybe we could go to South Korea. And my wife thought it was a great idea. She is not a big fan of international travel, The prospect of a 14-hour plane trip in economy with her legs bunched up by her chest and then going out to a country which has a completely different notion of personal space was a big fat nope for her. She's one of those people that really does stick out in big cities and she just hates them. She seems to be a magnet for crazy. It's like she's got this big siren on the top of her head that says, I'm not from around here. She hasn't quite mastered the art of blending in, which I really feel I could be the only minority in a 20-mile radius and somehow manage to blend in. And our daughter is a little bit the same. She seems well-versed in that. I'm curious to see how it goes, but she seems super eager. It's high on her bucket list to visit South Korea. Obviously, I'd love to go back and actually spend time as a tourist. I've not hardly spent any time in Seoul at all, other than landing on the plane and getting whisked off to visit family. So, spending a whole week in Seoul, we're going to visit some temples, go to the shopping districts, the market districts, who knows what else. We're looking forward to eating a ton of Korean food. And everything else is just sort of up in the air. We've got our plane ticket and our hotel stay figured out. And for as much as the itinerary planning and looking at books and the rest of it, I just figure we can make it up as we go along. I am one of those, when it comes to travelers, an optimist that tends to worry. So I'm just trying to accumulate as much knowledge as I possibly can before we head out on the road. But yeah, it's going to be a little crazy. Obviously, that's been preoccupying my time. I'm trying to get everything settled out at the office before I set off for the trip. And one of my coworkers has just gone to Iceland, so it's even more crazy right now. So reading has fallen by the wayside. I'm obviously going to be traveling, and then as much as a lot of you love to travel, bring a book along and look forward to all the reading you're going to get done. I fear that in that short little time that we got to spend in South Korea, it is going to be wall-to-wall traveling, walking around and exploring the city. Very little time for reading. By the time we get back to the hotel, I think we're just going to pass out in the beds and get ready for the next day. So it's going to be a little light. I'm not sure what I'm going to fill that gap up. Maybe with these long sort of rambly type videos talking to you. Who knows? And also when I go there, although I'm not going to be doing daily vlogs that I'm going to submit out there, I am certainly bringing the camera. My daughter's already planning her Instagram strategy. I've only been slightly obnoxious on Instagram, so I'm prepared to go full asshole with the look at me, I'm traveling the world thing on Instagram. I will be taking a lot of B-roll there, and both of us are going to be working to create some sort of video of our trip down there. So we'll see how that goes as well. I'm very curious about that. And it'll be a different style of filming that I'm really excited to try out. This straight shot camera, me talking, fairly straightforward. The editing is pretty easy. This is going to be a different beast entirely. I'm hoping that I'll have something to come out of it at the result of this trip, but we'll see what happens with that. So the long and short of it is it could get a little spotty around here at ThePoptimist in the next little while we figure out what the heck we're going to do. So that's pretty well it. I apologize for the long, rambly, single take video here, but I thought I would throw something together, put it out there, and yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys have a great week of reading. If you have any travel tips or suggestions, send them my way. I don't know what it's going to be like traveling with my 18-year-old daughter. I don't even know how we're going to be apprehended in Korea. Neither of us speak Korean. I understand a little bit if I can hear it, but I certainly want to fly in under the radar and be a resolutely Canadian tourist. And I know the last time that I was there, especially when I was in the Amish country of Korea, I was a head taller than just about anyone there. I was tan from a summer here in Canada, so they naturally assumed I was Mexican, especially considering I didn't speak the language. My daughter, who is half Korean, quarter Dutch, quarter German, I'm not exactly sure how she's going to be apprehended when she's down there, but it'll be curious to find out. And traveling with her, we've done it in New York, actually. So this is another big city that we're planning on traveling together. Hopefully it goes well and will be a lot of fun. Anyway, I'm rambling again. Sorry. Have a great week of reading. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.